Welcome to the Retention Edge podcast. This week, I'm sitting down with Sarah Sathaye, the Chief Revenue Officer at NAADAM, a premium cashmere knitwear brand where she leads sales strategy across e-commerce, wholesale, marketplaces, and physical retail while focusing on customer growth and brand expansion.
Welcome, Sarah. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thanks for having me this morning.
I'm doing good. Thank you. Sarah, before we start, maybe you could give us all a bit of a background on your experience and your current work.
Sure, absolutely. So I am Chief Revenue Officer at NAADAM currently. NAADAM is a cashmere knitwear company. It's been around for about a decade. We're actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary. And really was one of the pioneers in democratizing access to luxury product. So NAADAM's direct story is that it was founded by two college friends who found themselves stranded in the middle of the Gobi Desert, taken in by Mongolian herders, and learning about their ways of raising goats via animal husbandry to create, a source of cashmere. But all these third parties were effectively setting the price and not leaving much for the herding community. And so NAADAM's founders decided, let's go direct to the source, let's cut out that middleman, and let's create basically a really fair trade supply chain for cashmere. Through the course of NAADAM's 10 years, NAADAM also has taken a part in managing a couple of other brands. The ones that are currently in the portfolio are Package Free, which is a sustainable consumer goods brand, and Ibriella, which is a juniors brand. Both also mission-driven businesses. So I work across the portfolio, managing all sales channels from e-commerce to wholesale to marketplaces, physical retail. I've been in the retail industry for 15 to 20 years in all capacities, from strategy consulting to driving innovation teams at Amazon to working on stealth startups under the Walmart umbrella.
Amazing. So you had, I believe, a recent push into physical retail with NAADAM. I'm curious about your take on omnichannel in general and how physical retail contributes to the overall picture, how you see its role, especially also in both acquisition and retention.
Yeah, absolutely. So our history with our brand portfolio with physical retail has been kind of multi-faceted. It clearly is a marketing channel as well as a revenue channel. What we found, given the seasonality of our business, was basically that pop-up strategy was what worked best for us in the long term. So the last couple of years, what we do is we open stores in August or September, and we close them in end of January, end of February. Able to do that on the real estate side. We're all to potentially taking on like one or two wholly owned stores that we operate year round. But for us, the pop up strategy has been really successful. And I think there's a couple of aspects of that aside from just the operating cost angle that we really think of. First of all, anytime you embark on kind of a pop-up or even a venting strategy, you're able to generate more excitement around the neighborhood that you're in, which might be customers, as well as your existing customer base that's really excited to interact with you in real. And we've seen that. New York City is one of our biggest markets. It always has been. It's where we're headquartered. And we have, a really deep, loyal customer base within New York City. But every time we activate a pop-up, we just see that rise in order frequency around even that loyal customer base. They come to the events. They like to come and interact with the store. And what we also see is that product categories that may be adjacent to our store might be something that they're willing to try in physical retail that online they're just a little bit more hesitant to do so. We focus, as I've said before, on core cashmere, but we've done, wovens, we've done other materials within knitwear, We've done cottons, we've done silks, etc. They never necessarily been a part of our core go-to-market. But when we bring those products to physical retail, we just see them fly off the shelf. The other thing that I really saw actually quite a bit this year. So this year we had pop-ups in New York City, in LA, and in Chicago. And what I really saw this year was we got a lot of learnings from various of those geographic regions we're in. So in my role, I try to visit all of our stores, at least once during the pop-up season, if not multiple times, and talk to sales associates, talk to the store. And, what we saw, and maybe you would expect this. They were coming in on sort of seats, say, what can I wear this weekend? Whereas in New York, it was a lot of, just, okay, I'm outfitting for the winter and building up my sweaters for the season. Maybe I'm interested in some outerwear pieces, and just to go on as a third layer. And in Chicago, we actually had launched a new basics line this year called Soft Find Not. And we made part of our Chicago pop-up dedicated exclusively to this diffusion line. And it just flew off the shelves there. So that introductory kind of basics category works really well in that market environment. Where maybe it actually wasn't just penetrated in our core environment of New York City, kind of the Northeast. So really got a lot of intricate product learnings from being in physical retail and e-commerce.
Very cool. Yeah, I can see how it plays into that loyalty factor that you were talking about. I'm curious, what do you think of customer loyalty and driving repeat purchases? What do you think of the role of, say, your DTC channels versus physical retail in trying to, I guess, get the customer to buy not just once, but more and more, maybe not just once a year, but more frequently throughout the year?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great way to maintain touch point. We've all seen all the data in marketing that says, you need 5 to 6 touch points to get a new customer to convert. And depending
Yeah.
on the business and your frequency, sometimes that actually doubles for an existing customer because you have to stay top of mind for them.
Yeah.
And it's not that they necessarily need convincing in the same way, but it's really that you just have to remind them frequently that you are there across all of the channels that they
Yeah.
are, whether it's, all of the digital channels that we all use, whether it's physical mail, again, whether it's eventing or being present in the neighborhood, all of those ways are, important to remind them that when it comes time to replace a product, add a piece to their wardrobe, that you're there and they have to experience with you because there's just so much noise that we're all peppered with so frequently. Um, what I will say about digital strategy overall, though, is that really is the core of our marketing, whether it's acquisition or retention. And our business being in high end knitwear, as much as I would love if everybody wanted to have 25 cashmere sweaters in the closet, the reality is you just probably don't need it. So
Yeah.
we are in a business where we are constantly going to always have to acquire a really significant chunk of our customer base every year.
Yeah.
Is what it is. In order to grow, we have to do that. But we are really focused, especially this year. It's one of our goals for 2026 to really refine our customer loyalty efforts. We're actually launching a loyalty program before the end of this month. We've never really had an official one before because we want to be able to understand, what is motivated to our customers by offering them different benefits to return, whether it's free shipping days, whether it's early access to new products, whether it's
Yeah.
to field product swatches and give us feedback on, whether we should go with A or B, for a new line that we might be developing. So all of those ways to make customers feel special and to get them over the hurdles that, might stand between them.
Yeah. You touched a bit on kind of online channels and making use of all these channels that of course are social media, your email, and you touch on physical email. There's certainly a new wave of products coming to the market with AI that kind of facilitate and help the creation of content and managing all these channels, but also building deeper customer relationships. I'm curious how you see it and what you're doing on this front.
Yeah, I mean that's $1 million question these days. I would say, like everyone else, we are experimenting and we're still learning. We're learning every day. In 2025, one of the things that it doesn't necessarily mean that every person you see on our website is an AI generated person. They're not, by the way. We definitely have used AI for, some lifestyle, um, some PDP imagery, et cetera, where it's made sense to do so, especially for specific lines where, it might be easy. There's this year over year, it might be easy to do some color correction and things like that. We were like, okay, it doesn't come through. It doesn't reach the level of quality that we want to put out there. 6 months later, we were saying something different. We were really saying like, wow, we don't mind adding this to it. I do think that I'll touch upon package free, our sustainable consumer compliance, in really natural, only made by only a couple of ingredients cleaning products. We launched a website this month that was nearly entirely built by AI, and we were able to create video content that really shows the way our product works, entirely driven by AI. Now, certainly you have to have people adopted the capabilities to do, because I think that's a huge part of it, is actually just driving adoption by your team and giving them space to learn and experiment. I won't go out on a limb and say that we've done that perfectly around the organization yet, but it's something that we're really trying to create space. I will also say that, I think that there is going to be a real resurgence in investment in organic, whether it's organic search, organic social, that are driven by AI, in part because everybody's out there to figure out how to optimize for AI. But also because, having that content on a page is what's going to help you be discovered. And I think that more consumers, especially, the younger consumers, we've seen lots of data on Gen Z's adoption of, AI engines more so than any other generation to date. But, they're out there and they're comfortable getting their information that way, and they're asking questions in a really different way that we have to figure out through AI. So that's one of the things that in the first half of 2026, my team is looking at in great depth, and I'm trying to figure out the right partner tools to enable us to live.
Yeah, absolutely. You almost need AI to answer to the new way of searching for products through AI of the consumer, right? So you need to be able to build that personalization, that kind of uniqueness of those search queries that you need to answer, that maybe a human wouldn't have even been capable of typing into Google or ChatGPT, but that the bots in a way are formulating for the user, knowing all that background that they know about the user. And so this creates a job effectively on your side to be able to respond with that same depth and breadth of content on your pages to be found, right?
Absolutely. And I think the next step that I want to make sure we're also thinking about, which is similar but a different problem, is the customer is going to start their own website asking questions in the way that they're now getting accustomed to asking them on AI, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just that they want to type into the search bar, red cardigan, right? They want to type into the search bar, what is the best sweater for me to wear when it's 50 degrees in New York City? And, what's the cool fall color to get it, right? Whoever starts to craft that on their own sites first, whether it's, an AI shopping assistant, whether they're able to create it within the search bar themselves, I think it's going to be a huge driver for conversion rate optimization.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, going back to kind of retention and driving repeat purchases, also with the challenge of luxury as you have with NAADAM, but you also have a product category that lends itself very much to repeat purchases with the cleaning products. How do you think about driving that second and third purchase online at the moment?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I would bring up. So, um, first of all, it really does differ based on kind of the product category. I still think, and everybody's kind of out there using this at this kind of price point, and product category, but I still constantly think that subscription makes sense. As a
Yeah.
consumer, I see myself constantly getting sucked into subscriptions in order to, get the best deal. And sometimes I like them. Sometimes they end up being set it and forget it, which is the company on the other end. But it still is really sticky. And I think it's an important thing, like having a good subscription that's easy to get customers to opt into in your checkout flow is still definitely giving people or keywords. We actually almost discontinued a specific product line on our package free website, but took a look at how many subscriptions we still had active that we hadn't even really looked at. And, it completely changed our mind. And we said, actually, hold on a second. This is really sticky. I think it's good for customers. It's good for it. With NAADAM, with a luxury product, it's obviously, we sell apparel that ranges from $38 t-shirts. So those are our sort of lower end sub-dollar products. With bundling, so getting people to buy into multiples right away, whether it's first purchase or second purchase. And that obviously makes it stickier when you get a couple of something in their wardrobe and you start to make it habit forming. We also find that with our hero product, which is our $98 original cashmere sweater, they use it under a suit jacket. They use it in the office to throw on, over a button down or a t-shirt. So it's just that like easy sweater to have year round. And we really do find that driving frequency and one in their closet to your customers who have made a first purchase, and really connecting with them on how you can make it kind of a part of their work has been really one of the best levers that we've been able to drive for stickiness. The third thing that I'll say, which might be a little bit controversial, is we really strongly in a multi-channel presence. So we believe in meeting the customer where they are. And I know that can be really difficult for, heritage legacy direct-to-consumer companies that you want to uncut. You want to believe that you can create a shopping experience so good that when they will naturally come back to you as opposed to visiting Amazon or a large department store or, any other kind of brand channel. But that's hard. And it's getting more and more expensive to make that happen, right? We talked a couple minutes ago about the number of touch points you need to get a repeat customer. So if the customer is shopping, for us, it's a shopping merchant, or it's, boutique, whether it's in a resort, right? Period hotel. And so we've created some really deep relationships across all kinds of other channels. We are selective about the products we put in there. We don't necessarily get our whole catalogs. So we like to make sure there's a particular reason, whether it's a color option or maybe it's a special deal that's direct to consumer only. But we really believe that having these strong PR partners and truly partnering them to enable them to build successful businesses with us is a really important way to drive this.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I understand that there is typically that want, right? Like as you were saying, to own that customer data and relationship. But if you're willing to sacrifice a bit of that, there's a lot to be had just by working effectively with the channel, as you're saying. I'm curious, when you do have that data and that relationship, what have you found most effective? Do you use incentives? You talked about loyalty. How do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a good question. part of me wants to come back to you in 6 months after we've launched our loyalty program. But, I think one of my other big worries in my career in loyalty was when I was helping to lead marketing at Shopbop, which is Amazon's highest fashion subsidiary, multi-brand direct-to-consumer retailer. We launched Shopbop's loyalty program. So the Shopbop Rewards program, we launched it. I think it was around the 2016 timeframe, and learned a lot about customer behavior on that. I think what we found was really, it's funny because you look at your VIP tier, your platinum tier, whatever you want to call it. And, you always assume they're good, right? They're like driving more than the revenue that I would expect from them. Their core consistency is strong. At least what launching that loyalty program was that tier got even when we proactively reached out to them and did things that they did, whether it's a holiday gift, um, whether it's kind of early access to a new drop or a special sale. So that VIP consumer that may have, additional dollars that they could choose to spend with you, you really can get more and build and deepen that relationship even further with them. Certainly, the kind of mass point of view on it is, if you can take even 10% of your customer base that buys one, get them to buy another time, you're going to add points to your growth, right? So that certainly is the goal as well. We are doing a lot of testing and learning in the next couple of months across tiers to see how that works for the NAADAM customer and what incentivizes them the most as we roll out this loyalty.
It's going to be very interesting to hear how that goes. Sarah, it's been very interesting to hear about your experience. Thank you so much. If people want to learn more about you, where can they go?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. And please, continue to follow NAADAM and Package Free Villa on their social channels and their website. But really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much, Sarah.